Welcome back. I'm Pat, that Halloween movie collector, and I'm back with another top 10 albums from the 1970s. We left off at 1975 a couple weeks ago, got a little busy, and I wanted to jump on this one. This one was probably the toughest one so far. There was a lot of great albums in 76. For me, my personal taste, like I said, this is my top 10. It's not the be-all, say-all. But this was tough to whittle down to 10, so I am going to mention several honorable mentions because I had to. I couldn't leave them off here. So we'll go ahead with a couple honorable mentions, and we'll get into our top 10. Yeah, I know. Those were 7 albums, but that were not easy to keep off this list. To tell you, this is definitely the hardest list so far. I have a feeling it's probably going to get even harder as we go through the 70s, but this was definitely my hardest one to whittle down to my top 10, my favorite 10 of 1976. But let's do this. Let's start with number 10. So number 10, released on March 31st of 1976, Led Zeppelin, Presence. Now, this is like a dark horse album for a lot of people, especially a lot of Zeppelin fans that I talk to, and I'm a huge Zeppelin fan. I love them. And this was teetering on honorable mention, but I'm like, I really got to put this on here because it's incredible. I mean, the amount of insane music you get out of 6 songs. I mean, there's only 6 songs on this goddamn album. But, I mean, you got Achilles' Last Stand, Nobody's Fault But Mine, just kick ass. For Your Life, Hot On For Nowhere. I mean, it's just a great, great album. Always confused the shit out of me, the cover. Anybody understand what it... I mean, I'm sure some Zeppelin diehard fans understand what the hell that's all about with that black statue thing. I don't know what the hell it is. Always wondered that. But this album is great. I mean, especially just go listen to the Achilles' Last Stand, the live version. Song remains the same. Just absolutely insane. So it was this one I couldn't leave off my top 10. I had to include it. So lands at number 10. Number 9, released on December 8th, 1976, The Eagles, Hotel California. I know, people are like, seriously, number 9, this should have been higher up. Yeah, but I like the Eagles. I've never been over the moon about the Eagles. I mean, this album is every song you probably hear on a daily basis on any classic rock station. I don't dislike it by no means. That's why it's on my list. Like I said, wait till you just saw my honorable mention. I had to put it on here. I was fascinated by Hotel California when I was a kid. When I first learned how to play guitar, had to learn how to play it. Had to learn how to play Life in the Fast Lane. We used to play Victim of Love for years in one of my old bands. I mean, this album is a classic rock staple. I had to put it on here, but to put it higher up, like I said, these lists are simply my taste. I just write down a bunch of albums I see in a specific year, and I just say, which ones do I listen to the most that I really like the most? It's not whether it sucks or whatever. It's on this list because it's good, but it's just Hotel California. I mean, there's nothing more to say about it. It's classic, beyond classic. All the songs that are on there. So, yep, it lands at number 9. Number 8, released on March 26th, 1976, Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak. Love Thin Lizzy. Big Thin Lizzy fan. It's criminal that they're like one-hit wonders in the States with The Boys Are Back in Town, which is on this album. But just do a deeper dive into Thin Lizzy. It's so much great stuff, especially if you're a guitar player or a bass player. Some great shit on there. And this album, yeah, of course, it's got The Boys Are Back in Town, which was their claim to fame. You also got Jailbreak, which is a great song. Cowboy Song is probably my favorite on the album. I love the Cowboy Song. Emerald is great. You Kiss fans, go to Ace Frehley's first Origins album. He's been doing this Origins series where he does like covers of songs that influenced him, and he does a great version of Emerald on that. This album is just fantastic. I mean, the guitar work, the musicianship, insane. If you think Thin Lizzy only exists as The Boys Are Back in Town, go do a deeper dive. You'll be glad you did. Number 7, released on September 20th of 1976. One of 2 albums they released this year. The other one, obviously, was an honorable mention. This one, I just prefer the songs a little bit more. ACDC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. This album, God, when I got this as a kid, man, I discovered ACDC Got to be around 79 when I first heard Highway to Hell. And so I love Bon Scott. I mean, no, I love Brian Johnson by no means, but man, do I love some Bon Scott. I just love the rawness, the bluesiness, and some of these just stripped down, like 3-4 chord songs that they did in the 70s. And this album's just littered with them. I mean, Dirty Deeds, obviously, the big one right there. Dirty Deeds done dirt cheap. You got the goofy song, which is Big Balls, Problem Child, kicks ass. This album's just so goddamn good. So I had to put this on this list. Big ACDC fan here, and they're probably going to land on more lists as we're going forward. Number 6, released on May 3rd, 1976, Aros Smith Rocks. Aros Smith made several lists so far. You know, we're going to keep going. I love me some Aros Smith, some 70s Aros Smith. Kicks ass, I'm sorry. That's probably my favorite era of Aros Smith. I mean, Back in the Saddle, Last Child. This album is just fantastic. I mean, granted, they had their issues in the 70s with substance abuse and known for being very sloppy on stage. But, I mean, you go watch some of this stuff. That's part of rock and roll, man. It doesn't have to be perfect. And these guys were the epitome of, you know, hard rock excess. And you wanted to go see just a balls-out show, and these are the guys to go see to do it, especially the 70s. Number 5, released on March 26, 1976, Judas Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny. This album is just amazing. Same thing. You want to talk about some stripped down heavy metal. I mean, the architects, one of the architects of heavy metal, you know, picking up from the Godfathers and Black Sabbath. This album just kicks some serious ass from, you know, Victim of Changes, Ripper, Genocide, Tyrant. I mean, this album, if you're a Judas Priest fan, this is just some down and dirty, heavy shit. And I just love this album from start to finish. I put this on, truth be told, this is one of the albums on this list I probably listen to a lot more than almost any of them. I just love this album. Great stuff. And also, it's released on the same day as Thin Lizzy's Jailbreak. Look at that. Imagine that. 2 iconic albums like that. Freaking same day. Holy shit. Now, switching gears, my number 4, released on January 15th of 1976. Probably, arguably, one of the biggest albums of the 70s and one of the biggest albums ever. Peter Frampton, Frampton Comes Alive. If you watch this channel or you know me, I am a huge Peter Frampton fan. I love Frampton. Fell in love with him in the 70s. Obviously, through Frampton Comes Alive, you're introduced to him. But this album just kicks some serious ass. I just saw him 2 years ago at Bethel Woods, which is nearby where I live, and it's the original site of Woodstock. And come on, even he's having those issues with where he's getting to the point where he really can't stand up that much. He's getting older. Everybody's getting older and long in the tooth. But man, he still kicks ass. He just kicks some serious ass, played a bunch of great humble pie shit towards the end. I just love Peter Frampton. Very underrated. Thank the Lord they finally sobered up and put him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What a travesty that was. It's just... he just put on that album, especially for those you go listen to his studio albums. A lot of those songs that appeared on his studio albums sound totally different. You know, you go, Baby I Love Your Way, it's just like so stripped down and basic. A lot of those 70s bands, when they did a live album, the songs just took on a different life. And this is one that's probably going to appear on my list going forward. Just listen to Cheap Trick Budokan and then listen to the studio versions. Totally different. But this album, I mean, of course you have, you know, Show Me the Way, Baby I Love Your Way. He does a great version of Jumpin' Jack Flash. There's Something Moved on there. And of course, my favorite is Do You Feel Like We Do? I mean, to the point where years ago, my wife, because I'm a guitar player, years ago, she got me a friggin' voice box because I've been dying. I'm like, all these years I've been dying to learn how to play Do You Feel Like We Do? So I did finally learn it. Just great shit, man. Frampton Comes Alive, man. This is something that everybody's got to have in there. This is one of those albums. I probably should do a list of these. Every rock albums that everybody needs in their goddamn CD collection. This is right up there with like Bat Out of Hell. It's just got to be in there. Or Cheap Trick of Budokan. All that shit, it's got to be in there. Even Hotel California, which I mentioned earlier. These are just things that need to be in your collection. And number 3, you were waiting for them to appear because they released 2 albums this year. And here they are. My number 3, released on March 15th of 1976. Kiss's Destroyer. Yep, you knew it was coming. You knew they released 2 albums this year. And we got 2 spots after this, so let's see where this goes. What the other 2 may be. But Destroyer, I mean, come on. you've watched this channel, talked about Kiss ad nauseum. Favorite band since I discovered them in '75. And Destroyer, big departure, right? Because if you listen to the first 4 albums, everything was, from Kiss to Hotter Than Hell to Dress to Kill to Alive. Very stripped down, raw, raunchy. I love it. It's all my favorite shit. But this was a big departure when they brought in Bob Ezrin. And it's not overproduced. I don't want to say overproduced, but it's more produced. It's more polished. That's what he did. He was known for what he did with Alice Cooper, and he polished that stuff up. And it's not to say it wasn't hard and heavy, but it was just neat. Wasn't as stripped down, but it was great. I mean, sure, they got a lot of shit at the time from some of the diehard Kiss fans. Like, what is this? We just want that raunchy shit. But it's just become a Kiss classic. I mean, look what it's got on. I mean, you got Detroit Rock City, Shout It Out Loud, Do You Love Me? A lot of the shit they've played for years in their sets. My favorite song on the album, which is probably Flamin' Youth. Actually, King of the Nighttime World is really my favorite song. Love that song. But you got Flamin' Youth on there, Great Expectations, which was the departure song. And of course, their only breakout hit, which was Beth, that's what basically catapulted them and put them on the map. So this one, this is, this was going to be high up on the list. Sorry. But there's 2 spots left. And there's another Kiss album that was released this year. Let's see where it is. And those that know me were probably expecting this other album to be on here too. And I fought like hell to see which one I was going to put as number 1. So let's see. So let's solve the mystery of what my top 2 are, because they were neck and neck and they really duked it out. Released on May 21st. My number 2, released on May 21st, 1976. One of my all-time favorite albums, and it was tough to not put this in the number 1 spot. Blue Oyster Cult, Agents of Fortune. This album is just a staple. I mean, I've worn out copies of this goddamn album. Agents of Fortune is probably their masterpiece. It's just amazing. Every song in there. And for those, same thing that these guys fall into the Thin Lizzy category, which really pisses me off. They're just known for Don't Fear the Reaper, which is on Agents of Fortune. They're known for Burning for You, maybe Godzilla. Go do a deep dive into some Blue Oyster Cult, man. Holy shit. That's what I did. And I did it because of this, Halloween. I first heard Don't Fear the Reaper in the movie Halloween. And I kept hearing that song. Like, I like that song. Then this is probably like early 80s, because I first saw Halloween in 1980. And I think I've heard the song on the radio before that, but I kept hearing it. And then I went and bought Agents of Fortune. Loved it. Then dove into everything BOC. And next to Kiss, my favorite band, hands down. Agents of Fortune. You got True Confessions on there. This Ain't the Summer of Love. Debbie Denise, Sinful Love, True Confessions. And for those that don't know, it's not just, they were much like Kiss in the vein that they had multiple singers. They had Eric Bloom, who sang, you'll know him for singing Godzilla, but you're more used to hearing Buck Dharma, the guitar player, singing their hits, like Don't Fear the Reaper, that's Buck Dharma. Burn a Few, that's Buck Dharma. But you listen here, you got Albert Bouchard, who was the drummer at the time, that sang some great songs like True Confession on here, Debbie Denise. This album, go do a deep dive. You'll be glad you did. ETI, Extraterrestrial Live, that's a fucking awesome song. That's why it was tough not to make this number 1. It was really, really tough. And I'm sure you're going to know what my number 1 is. Released on November 11th, 1976. The second release that year from Kiss. Kiss is Rock and Roll Over. Yeah, this one, I had to put it on top. As much as I love me some Agents of Fortune, this was very special to me. I remember 76, my brother getting it. I remember getting my first 45, which I mentioned, I think, when I did my Kiss and Chat live stream not that long ago. My first album I ever owned was Kiss Love Gun, my personal one. My brother had his albums, and I wasn't allowed to touch them. Used to sneak them. But my first 45, I remember, was Mr. Speed, and that's my favorite. One of my favorite Kiss songs is easily Mr. Speed. Play it all the time on my guitar. But this album's got some great staples that they played all the time, too, like Making Love, Take Me, Hard Luck Woman. Well, they didn't really play Hard Luck Woman, but it's one of the big ones. That was, they were hoping that would have been the other breakout hit. Actually, Paul Stanley wrote it more so for Rod Stewart to do, because it's why it's very Maggie May-ish. But you have Love 'Em and Leave 'Em on here, which is good. They did a great version of that on the Don Kirshner rock concert. Go check that out. And just stellar album. I Want You. This album is, there's no skippers on this. Your album is going to be one of your favorites when you know every song off the album. There's not just like one breakout hit, every single one of them. And that's true to form with a lot of Kiss albums, for me. Yeah. No mystery there, right? So there you have it. Those are my top 10 albums. My top 10 albums of 1976. Do me a favor. Hit me up in the comments and give me your top 10 albums of 1976. This album, like I said, this was a tough year. There was a lot of great ones. You want to put some honorable mentions? Throw anything down there. I have no problem with it. And this one is just very eclectic mix because I listen to all different styles and I just like what I like. So, and I like people give me their list because I love to see people's other perspectives of what they like. It's an age thing. I'm 52 years old, so people in my age range that like heavy metal or hard rock, we tend to have circle the same type of albums and stuff like that. But I'm curious to hear other people's stuff because sometimes when I read these comments, I'm like, shit, I should go check that out. I haven't listened to that in a while. And it just refreshes my memory on some other stuff. And while you're commenting below, hit that like button. Helps people find this channel. Help get some more music fans in here, some Kiss fans, and just fans of music, horror in general. That's what this whole channel's about. And if you like the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Don't cost nothing. Got a lot of music stuff going on here. Just started my Kiss and Chat live streams where we just talk Kiss and we just went on a tangent on all types of other music. So that's coming. There'll be some more of that stuff and some other, and all horror, metal, Kiss, and everything all goes hand in hand. So this is the place to find it. So until my 1977 list, which will be around the corner, hopefully, when I get some free time, I'll get 77 going. And I think there's going to be a lot of honorable mentions too, because 77 is going to be another tough year to whittle down to 10. So until then, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. Until then, I'll talk to you soon.